Hello, folks. Good afternoon. Great to be with you again. Mike Neumeier, financial advisor. Telephone number 410-902-0464. I've had some viewers tell me I should talk a little louder, so I'm going to talk a little louder. And today we're going to cover early and regular investing, and we're going to talk about some tax terms and some things that some people get mixed up about, and so forth. And this is the continuing parts of my regular seminar. So we're going to cover some more today as we do each week. And before we get started, I also want to share a couple of things from Retirement Report from Kiplinger. Okay, this is something I subscribe to, and something I find interesting articles in. And this particular one is getting older is better than it used to be. And what they're talking about here, just a headline, is for many 70-year-olds is a new 60-year-old. Now, why is that possible? Well, what they're saying is that we have learned to eat better, we have learned to exercise better, and we have better medical health and better medicines and so forth and so on. We got a long ways to go to catch up with Europe and so forth on the food side and other things. But we are improving, and that's beneficial to everybody. Okay, now here's a few ideas along those lines. And I'm just going to run through the headlines on these. Okay, read food labels. We've learned recently, with Bobby Kennedy stepping into to our help on that corner, that we need to read food labels. I've been doing that for many years. You got to look for preservatives like nitrates and nitrites. Those are things we don't want to have in our food. There's lots of other food colors and so forth, but read labels. Read labels. And when you think about things like gluten, gluten leads a few steps from it. It leads to things like Alzheimer's and dementia. So you want to get away from gluten, period. Where does gluten come up? The most obvious is wheat. We eat a lot of bread and pasta and pizza in the United States. So those are just a couple of ideas, okay? And then get consistent, high quality sleep. If you're dreaming, then you're probably getting a deep sleep. But consistency is very important. Connect with others, maintain relationships. Very, very, very important. We're human beings. Don't isolate. Get involved more. Don't think that retirement means you just sit on the couch and watch television all day. Okay, that's not a healthy and helpful kind of habit. All right, reduce stress. Get rid of stressful things around you. That's very important. Stress is not a healthy experience and not good for your body. Get a checkup regularly. It's like going to the dentist regularly. Okay, and so those are very important ideas. Pick up some weights in exercise. Doesn't have to be strenuous, but just pick up some weights and do stretch exercises. These are kind of minimal sort of things. You don't want to over, exercise, they say, because you could cause strains. Cut back on alcohol. Alcohol actually is not a positive thing for your body or your brain or anything else. Read about it. Cut back on alcohol. Cut back on sugar. Same time. Wear sunscreen, especially if you're light skin and you're susceptible to problems with your skin. And we know that there's skin cancers out there, and we don't want those. And I've seen people develop those. And then listen up, okay? And that means, frankly, that so many people today that I meet have hearing problems. One ear, both ears, whatever. Don't be so vain that you don't want to, use a hearing aid. And you can get hearing aids today that are almost invisible. They're so small and so forth. It's true they're expensive. You got to shop around and compare and so forth. But if you need a hearing aid, look into what Medicare will help you with, and that sort of thing. Okay, or any other benefits have available. For instance, veterans sometimes have very, very beneficial opportunities as far as hearing aids are concerned. Consider hormone replacement therapy. Don't know if it fits your needs and so forth. But in some of the write-ups recently, they're talking about that. Now, it's not always beneficial. It can be harmful, but you got to check it out and see if there's anything there that could be good for you. Okay, so those are just some ideas I want to lead off with, because we care here about retirement, and we care here about seniors. I mean, that's what it's all about in retirement, is to stay healthy and enjoy it. It's not just the income, and not just the money. There's a lot more to it. You want to enjoy retirement. The money is to help you enjoy retirement and to stay retired and reduce stress and all those sort of things, and enjoy yourself and do the things you always wanted to do. Okay, but you want to stay healthy to do those things. Okay, now as far as savings are concerned, or investing, we hope that you arrive towards retirement and have invested and have saved. There's no question about it. It isn't the number, it isn't the amount that you saved, although the more you save, the better you are, but it's the income that it produces. Too many people I know that come to me will show me what they have saved, but they haven't really understood how to get income or to maximize income. Here's one example. If you are 65, this is just one example. If you are 65 years old, we can get you 7.5% for life. In other words, if you're getting $100,000, it'll get you $7,500, and it will never change for your life or your spouse's life. You know, you're going to get that money every single year for the rest of your life and the rest of your spouse's life. So how bad can it be? It's a good offer. So that's the kind of thing. Let's say otherwise, you're just getting interest on CDs, which go up and down, as you know. Maybe you're going to get 3% 1 year. I can remember a few years ago when you were getting 1.75 was considered good. Well, you know, right now you can get over 4% right this minute. Now, rates are pretty good this year. They're holding up pretty well. But you know, the Fed is going to lower rates probably once or twice during this year. So as rates go down, that means anything you've got in the bank, including CDs, and there's a lot of IRAs that have CDs. You know, there's a lot of IRAs and CDs. So that's the typical place. If you're going to put money into CDs, IRA money, if you're going to put money in the bank in IRA money, typically they're going to guide you towards the CDs. So it's the highest rate typically, although money market accounts have been pretty close. But typically they won't let you put IRA money in money markets, and you don't really want to because it's variable. You want to know for a period of time that you're going to get X rate. But the point is, you're not ever going to get this kind of a rate, you know, from those kinds of products. This, no, did we ever have higher than 65? Yeah, you go back 40 or 50 years. Frankly, in the 50s, it wasn't that high. In the 50s and 60s, you're lucky to get 5%, and that's not 7.5%. So at 65, and then we have rates for and the older you are, the higher the rate is. So if you're 70 years old, you're going to get closer to 8% for the rest of your life. So, you know, call me. This has been the most popular offering that we've seen in many, many years. And that's what we deal in. We deal in lifetime income products. We work with a number of companies that are all highly rated companies that produce these products. And we constantly monitor and we look for the highest income available for our clients. So you can rest assured, if we're showing you something, that you're going to get a good return. You're going to get a good interest rate. You're going to get good annual income, good monthly, however you want it. It's going to be there for you and for your spouse. So, you know, okay. So investing. And then what about taxes? Well, we have reason to believe that the tax rates that we currently have are going to continue. I know the administration is trying very hard to do that, but they're also trying very hard to eliminate some taxes. You know, the biggest tax effect that we have is inflation. Think about that. That's a tax. If you're paying 5%, 8%, 10% more for anything, that's a tax, isn't it? In other words, you're getting to get less for your money. And that's what taxes do. You have less money to buy with. And then if you have inflation on top of that, you see where I'm going. So we are trying very hard to control inflation. And I think we're going to do it. I think we get inflation down to their target. Their target's 2%. And frankly, I'll tell you this, if we get it to 2, if you go back 10 years, the previous 40 years averaged 4%. Averaged 4% inflation. We've had high inflation after COVID and so forth and so on. But we can get it down. They've proven that we can get it down, and they are getting it down. Unfortunately, the way the Fed gets inflation down is by raising interest rates, because it reduces demand. So when demand comes down, then what happens is the prices come down. The fewer people buying something brings the prices down because there's a lot of competition to get what's left. So but the negative part is they have to raise the rates to do that. So they raise the rate, that hurts a lot of people borrowing money. Okay? This is a time to get money invested this way while rates are up. And this rate's guaranteed the rest of your life. So that's very important. But once you get locked in, you got it. And you're going to be pleased down the road when you see what a great decision that. I've had people tell me, I wish I had met you 5 years before I did. And I heard that many, 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 many times. You can put money in the market and you get a variable reaction. You don't know what you're going to get. It's exciting. Unfortunately, it's exciting pretty much when it's going up. Okay? And the reason it's exciting because that's more than you normally get out of the market on a continuous basis. So if you want to leave money in the market, you're going to go like this. But if you want to get the same amount, you want guaranteed income. Guaranteed specific income that you want for the rest of life. This is the kind of thing we have for you. And that's what we do. We don't put people in things where they can lose money. We do not put people in things they can lose money for retirement. Retirement's a time when you want to be able to depend on it. And imagine yourself, I don't want to think about these, but imagine yourself incapacitated at some point. You don't want to be worrying about if that money's going to be there. You want to know it's going to be there. You want to have serious, guaranteed income. And that's what this is. Okay. So tax terms, we talk about gross income. That's the total dollars you earn for that year. Some things are not taxable. AAA Maryland bonds, for instance, are not taxable. But there's lots of things that are, obviously. So adjusted gross income is after you take out, all the deductions and so forth. Adjusted gross income is then the basis for your taxes. And so that's very important. And then itemized deductions, of course, you know what those are. And some expenses are not, you can't itemize and deduct them, but itemized deductions include a lot of things. And for instance, property taxes and mortgage interest and medical expenses in many cases, and so forth. So there's a lot of things that go into itemized deductions. You can go on the IRS.gov website and you can look at what they tell you about itemized deductions. And people that are actually doing their own taxes, they're going to look at all those things. So but that's there. You can look at it. Okay. And then exemptions are based on the number of people who are dependent on you. Okay, that are dependent on you. So, that's another area. There's some gray areas in there. Are they dependent on you and so forth and so on? You can read about that on IRS.gov. Everything I'm talking about can be looked at on IRS.gov. And then taxable income, and of course, you know what that means. And then tax credits. Tax credits. What about things like losses? If you had losses years ago and you carry forward the losses, you're allowed to write off a certain amount each year on those losses. And of course, if you have gains that year, you can write off as many losses that reach the level of the gains in capital gains and so forth. So you need to look at that. And that's what that's why you're paying a tax person. I had a year, a long time ago where I had a carry forward loss and, take a few thousand a year. And then all of a sudden I had a big capital gains and they were able to write off a lot of those losses. See? So up to the level of the gain. So that's something to be very aware of. And then, and so there's also tax tables that are based on, things like married filing jointly, head of household and single and so forth. All those things are on the IRS.gov. So if you want to get a quick version, a little more information, that's a good place to go. And then As far as strategies to save money on the taxes, participating in employer-sponsored retirement, of course, you realize like 401ks, et cetera, come off the taxes. You're not paying taxes on those now; those stay pre-taxed, and until you start taking money out of an IRA or or out of your 401k, which has to become IRAs. When you take that money out and you use it, it goes in, comes out and goes into your account. Okay, then it's taxable. Then it's taxable. And then there's many circumstances, not many, in some circumstances, when you take the money out early and use it, then you could pay a penalty if you're less than 59 and a half. Okay, so, but you're always going to pay taxes on it when it comes out. All that money in your 401k will be taxable at some time, at some point. Okay. And contributing to a traditional IRA, of course, that we can reduce that from your taxable income. So that's another area. Now, what about a Roth? No, you can't do it there because a Roth is after tax money. So if you want to contribute to a Roth, that you have to pay the tax on that money. Could come out of savings as an example. And can you do both? Well, you can only do it to the level. There's a certain level each year. I'm not going to name a level because it'll be confusing. But let's say hypothetically you were allowed to put $7,500 into total Roths, into total IRAs. You could put half into Roth and half into a traditional or any part you wanted to, but you couldn't contribute more than the total dollar level. Okay, so that's something else to think about. And if you want to convert an IRA, a regular IRA, to a Roth, okay, then you can do it, but you have to pay the taxes on that money as you do it. So that's something else to consider. And of course, you want to see what's going to happen if you do that in a year where it will raise your marginal rate. It will raise your marginal rate. Then, maybe you don't want to do it. Talk to a tax person, see if it's beneficial for you to do it that year if you want to do it. What's the big advantage with Roths? Well, the big advantage with Roth is that when the money comes out, it's not taxable. It's tax-free. That's a wonderful experience. Now you have to hold the money. The first Roth, you have to hold the money past 59 and a half. You do that, and then of course you can take the money out after that, and it'll be tax free. But it has to be 5 years, and it has to go over 59 and a half on the first Roth. So those are things you want to review. IRS.gov, good place to look. And then of course consider your tax implications before you retire. If you're going to use taxable income, then of course you need to look at what the taxes are going to be. How much income are you going to have? Where does that take you as far as taxes are concerned? Interestingly enough, if you've converted to IRAs and you're from a 401k, you're going into IRA, it has to go to an IRA. Let's say you're taking X number of dollars a year. And this year you're concerned about that because you got other income that's going to raise you up to another tax rate. You can stop the income from the IRA. You can stop the income from the investment. You can tell us, for instance, in these products, you don't want any income this year, or you want half of it. So that's always there, and that's very important to understand. Many people don't realize that, but that's a very important consideration. And then itemizing your deductions versus taking a standard deduction. IRS.gov, good information. Tax people, good information on which is best for you. And then, so those are just some things that you should be aware of. And then, let's see, take advantage of the tax capital gains rules. Want to look at capital gains rules. They've been talking about changing them and so forth. So what's the capital gains rule that you have to apply? IRS.gov gives you limits. And remember what I said. If you have gains in a year, let's say you had gains of 20,000 and you're carrying forward losses for 24,000, you can take all those losses and you can take 20,000 of those losses and write it against the gain, and you're not paying any capital gains tax. I did a subdivision years ago. It worked out very well for me. I was able to take the losses I had and not pay taxes on those losses because I could write them off against the gains. So those are things you want to keep in mind. And then buying and selling mutual funds. Look at IRS. Talk to your advisor. Talk to your tax advisor, your tax person. I don't give tax advice. I talk about generalities like these, but I'm not a licensed tax person, so I don't give tax advice, and I'm not a lawyer, so I don't give legal advice. I can tell you what generally I understand. That's fine, and then you can go from there and get the details that apply to you. So those are important things to understand. And I've talked a little bit about capital gains, and then of course, and really that's about it as far as those concerns are. And you want to. I'll just review this one part: investments and tax advantages. When you talk about tax deferral, you're talking about 401ks, 403bs, 457s, TSBs, whatever it is that you are building up at work. And then tax deductible, that amount of money that you're putting into those things can reduce your overall taxes, because you're not going to pay taxes on those now. Those are pre-tax. Those items go in before the taxes are paid. So you're going to pay the taxes as you use the money. And then tax exempt, as I mentioned before, AAA Maryland taxes or Maryland bonds are, tax deductible. So you look at those kinds of things that are tax exempt. And then tax free, again, the Ross, life insurance, income. Great opportunity. Whole life, permanent life insurance has cash values. When you take money from those cash values, you're technically borrowing it. Nobody pays taxes on borrowed money. Great, huh? And you don't really have to pay it back. So basically, you're getting tax-free income. Great opportunity there. And then, of course, when you look at 529, college plans, and so forth, there's things like that. IRS.gov, again, or your tax person can give you good examples. And then tax credits, low-income housing, and then scholarship credits and so forth. And again, go on IRS and look at what the possibilities are for you. That's the most important thing. Okay, so we've covered a lot of information in a very short period of time. And how much time do we have left? So we've got 5 minutes. So let me review a little bit. You want to become cognizant of what are your tax implications for you. You need to understand the basic principles that we've kind of covered today. And I say the best resource is irs.gov. Most people never look at it. Look at irs.gov and do it every year, because those rules change. Very important to know what the rules are this year. And again, let me tell you that what we have is all tax deferred. Okay? And if it's in a Roth, of course, then it becomes tax-free. You can put these things in Roth. But let's say you had a 401k, you got to roll it over. Well, you got to pay the taxes on it if it's going to go into a Roth, okay? So you have to consider all those kinds of things. And you can do the same thing with the IRAs. You can convert those over a period of time if you like. And then when the money comes out, it's completely tax-free. So those are all very important considerations. And what are we going to do next week? Next week, we're going to talk about income. All the income sources that you can have in retirement. Very, very important area. We'll talk about tax-free income. We'll talk about taxable income. We'll talk about, all the income sources possible, Social Security and many others. Social Security is going to get stronger, not weaker. You can rely on that. Those people in Washington are not going to let Social Security go. They're going to protect it, because when they protect it very selfishly, they're protecting their own jobs. So keep that all in mind. And so we're going to cover a lot of things that go on in income, and keep calling and asking questions. We try to integrate the answers into the presentations each week. That's our job. And if you want help, all you have to do is call me. I never have charge for my time, and I help a lot of people on the telephone. If you'd like to come in, we make appointments. You should look at our website. You should look at our website, which is Game Plan for Retirement. You should also listen to if this is a podcast, great. If you're listening on a radio, great. We have lots of ways that you can learn. And on the website, there's a whole lot of our podcasts that you can take advantage of, that you can download and listen to, and so forth and so on. So, we try to be a multi-purpose in the sense that we offer education, not just the products. And we'll help you find the products that fit your needs. When you come in to see me, we'll review your situation and then try to customize a plan with you to make the most of your retirement so you can enjoy your retirement and you can feel safe and know that the income is going to be there. And that's what we do all the time. So I hope that this has helped you today. I hope that you'll call me. I hope that you'll come in. And again, my number is 410-902-0464. Mike Neumeier. I'm here in Owings Mills. I see people all the time. Please give me a call. Thank you.